Hello and welcome to Insanity. And hopefully tonight we are finally going to figure out how to do that vignette that we've been working on for the past month. Yeah, I blame GPT for everything, honestly, because why not? This is what we do now. We make AI take all the blame for whatever it is that we're trying to do. Because hey, why not? And I was trying to use that other guy, girl, whatever it is, uh, Gemini or something, Claude's. One of them, I completely forget which one was it. It bugged me, annoyed me, and I just gave it up. So now I'm back to my old friend, the GPT, which yeah, it didn't tell me about setting up everything. I don't want to say correctly, but there was an alternative of doing things that uh, the other thing actually told me about. Let me see, where did I configure it? Yeah, the full screen pass renderer feature, which basically implied that I did not. Oh, right, it was Gemini. Nice. I did not write the render feature and the render pass. The problem there was probably that they were changed between versions and it got mixed because it's using information from everything, and now I'm running on Unity 6.2 and maybe I should have just updated to 6.3 and maybe try the latest documentation. I guess that could have worked. I don't know. Maybe I'll upgrade to 6.3 for the next time. But for this time, let's start fresh with something. I don't even know what I'm trying to do anymore, honestly. Hey GPT, I am pretend I am new to Unity. I'll tell you a secret. I have 15 years experience, and yeah, just a reminder, the purpose was actually to learn how to learn and do the research, not to just find quick solution and generate everything, but to actually analyze and understand what's going on, because we are going to need that for personal growth. Um, so I am new to Unity because I want you to explain stuff to me in very many details. I'm using Unity 6.2 URP. So this time I'm remembering to actually tell it URP, and it not might, but surely it's going to matter which version of URP. And I don't remember from last time, but 72.0. It's installed October 1st. I'm just checking package samples, render graph samples, and that's about it. So using URP 72.0, and I'm trying to do some post processing hlsl, and I think Gemini connected where did I put it? Where did you? Okay, it connected with the post-processing global volume component. No? Is active. Okay, where did you connect it last time? Where did I connect it? It just went to the RP asset. Oh my god, I completely forgot what I did. So it just went to the material. Okay. Yeah, because I'm trying to remember, and this feels really tricky because there are like, okay, so I have learned so far that there are multiple ways to do this, and it seems like there are at least 3-4 different ways, like setting up the material, the shader, just the shader, controlling with scripts, controlling with material, controlling with post-processing, controlling with camera. I do need a shortcut to my RP because where are you RP settings? I'm not finding anything. Okay, so it's not connected to the post processing, it's just doing a full screen render pass. Let's just remove this one. Maybe just remove stuff we don't use. We do need to set up some cool post-processing at one point. Maybe next week take a break from all the hlsl. Okay, this one's using the default. I don't know what I'm looking for. Okay, I'm trying to do some post-processing hlsl. I am aiming for a full screen effect, and I think I had this conversation with it a few weeks ago, trying to figure out that thing. If I should do UI canvas overlay, and it told me not to. Hopefully I remember that right. I'm aiming to do a full screen effect. I know there are several options. Post processing component, render feature, custom render feature, full screen render feature, etc., ETS, etc. Which would you recommend in this case, and why? Yeah, so it didn't give us the version with full screen render feature. and that was a problem. It seems to be very confused about the whole setup when it comes to this. What other options do you think we have? Let's do a deep research. And share something with me. Okay, so let's dissect this properly instead of pretending Unity made this clean. The reality of full screen effects. URP is not a post-processing stack, it's a render graph with injection points discussed as convenience APIs. Where do you inject the full screen pass and how much control do you want to suffer for? The default recommendation, full screen render pass feature. And now it's apparently the default thing. Writing code with codecs, pair with codecs in your terminal, free for a limited time in your ChatGPT plan. Not right now. I'm not trying to do the codes. So this is the one that Unity is clearly pushing right now. Inject full screen effects at specific pipeline points just by assigning a material through hlsl, which we previously did. Choose the injection point before transparency, post, after posts. Okay, so we have 3 injection points. Requirements. Fetch color buffer. Okay, a bunch of advanced stuff. Minimal boilerplate, no custom C#. Works nice with bleed texture, the camera color. Okay, limited control. Stuck with Unity's abstraction layer. 90% of the full screen effects can be done with this. Once I know what I'm doing, scriptable render feature and scriptable render pass. API churn every other release, which we actually felt before that, because it felt like we were chopping the API from multiple sources. Render graph migration URP 17 made all the tutorials borderline useless. Okay, so they basically added some new stuff, and everything that might not work anymore. Why is my color buffer white? Why does this only render my left eye? Why did you need to remain selected again? Okay, so a bunch of things that might take us a long time to debug. Legacy thinking option, volume-based custom post-processing, which technically is supported, integrates with volume systems, designer friendly, but it takes more setup, less flexible than raw render passes, uses for blending, consistency, artist friendly workflows. Shader graph full screen. Other options, things people pretend are alternatives. Shader graph full screen still uses the full screen pass under the hood. command buffer bleed. Inside custom passes when you want explicit control, camera stacking, render textures, which was the UI it told us not to use because it has worse performance. Third party custom hacks. Like that GitHub project trying to resurrect PSV2 vibes. What are you talking about? Oh, the post-processing stack v2 vibes, okay. Customizable post-processing stack for URP. Just curious to see what it has going on. Okay, and a bunch of new controls. Okay. The real trade-off. Yeah, camera tricks is the worst. Volume based is slightly worse. So this is basically not done anymore and we shouldn't try to do it. Good to know. But I mean, there's post-processing is only used for full screen effects anyway, so basically the same thing applies for the render pass. Yeah, so medium control and low complexity for render pass, which was easy to set up, and high complexity, but the sanity is gone, and we've already seen that for like 3 weeks. So I want post-processing hlsl full screen effect. Start with full screen pass render feature. Only switch to custom render feature. For multipass logic, improve performance, custom buffers, and fighting with the system. Injection point matters. Color source confusion, because we need with texture, camera opaque texture render graph handles. Multiple passes, multiple blitz, unless you merge logic into one shader. Depth normals are not free. And Unity has full screen pass render feature. And basically start with that and rewrite it as a custom pass if needed. Exact hlsl template for URP. full screen with bleed source and RT handles mess, which we already tried, and maybe I might circle back to that and try again to create a reasonable setup. Maybe once I do an update to 6.3. How to avoid widescreen, how render graph changes things. What do we want at this point? Because we have these post-processing which are, let's say, actually like full screen features. I think it makes more sense. How do I create PC renderer? Does it have like any favorite settings or bookmark or something? I'm just looking to see what it had inside, just out of curiosity, and I see the full screen renderer feature. And wait, come back. Why do you need to compile stuff? Screen space, ambient occlusion. Okay. Did I? Yeah, I did. I just want to see how it looks. Is this like compiling or? Okay, compiling. Yeah, so no difference right now. Just to check on the renderer features, and what else do we have here? All a bunch of stuff that we have tried to create. What do we want to create? Let's do a new folder. Danger vignettes. Full screen pass. Great. We do have already a good template that we can use. I'm afraid to let GPT generate new code, maybe. And I'm looking in the vignette shader that was generated last week by Gemini. Okay. Let's continue on the same chat. Let's do a full screen render feature. I want to do a hlsl that creates a danger vignette. And I know that we've already done this for research purposes. But I wanted to take, wasn't it called Unity hlsl vignette red pulsing vignette effect? Pulsing. Okay, so it's not danger, it's red person. Red pulsing. Let's do full screen render feature. I want an hlsl that creates a danger slash red pulsing. Explain all the stuff in it. Low health equals red screen. The setup. Material. URP. Full screen render pass feature. Injection point after post processing. Safest for UI like overlays. Here is a clean URP compatible full screen shader. What each part does. So we have the bleed texture, which is the current camera color buffer Unity hands you. And if we mess this up, we're going to get stuff bad. UV center space. Transform 0, 0, minus 1, minus 1. Circles don't exist in 0, 1 space without extra matte. That makes radial matte sense. Wait, it's convert UV to center space because it was, I need to clarify this. What is the original coordinate space? Just to make sure. Okay, so the screen goes between 0 and 1, the normalized texture space. And it takes it it takes it from -1 to 1. So if it was 0 and 1 originally, it goes from -1 to 1. And why exactly? It's not radial friendly. And if you try to compute the distance, yeah, basically because it's easier to do the distance when you are going from the center and just using the screen params. Okay, what else are we doing here? Gave me the shader, distance calculation. Yeah, so convert to the new coordinate space, so it gives 0 at the center and 1 at the edges. power equals 1 soft fade, bigger than 2 aggressive edge burn, smaller than 1 washed out nonsense. We also get some pulsing and the final blend. Controls intensity, a bunch of parameters, problems you will encounter, wrong injection point material not assigned, shader not compiling, fully red, vignette matte is too aggressive, power too high, intensity maxed, white look stretch, aspect ratio correction, slightly smarter version, drive intensity from gameplay and color rate to be held. That is totally a different logic. We can take care of that later. One aspect, why am I writing a custom render, mask, base. If you want to push this further, next logical upgrades are mask base vignette, depth base danger, edges closer to enemies, grow stronger, okay. Chromatic aberration layering, single pass multi-effect optimization, because multiple bits are assigned performance killer. Let's start with red edges and panic breathing. Let's actually test what's going on. I did create this copy because I was afraid it might screw up, but if it does, we can just take it step by step and figure out how it screws up. And danger v and put it on the material, and we can already see it animating in the preview. This is excellent. And okay, I was looking for this. I can actually keep the full screen render pass and replace it with this. And it failed. Did it fail? Oh, come on, GPT. It's not working again. Okay, so we have the Gemini thing, and where's this is why learning is better with GPT, because you're going to find a lot of things that don't work, and it's going to be a challenge to fix them. And let's just do a side by side. Come on. Okay, this is going to be fun. We have all the configurations. Render pipeline equals universal pipeline and universal render pipeline. We can take this step by step just to see which change causes the actual difference. And okay, so we had this that was working, the one from Gemini, and we have this new danger one from GPT. Hide in inspector main texture. Do we need the main texture? Color, intensity, smoothness, etc. No, we do not need the main texture. I don't want that. We have all this set up. Do we need all that setup? No, we do not need all that setup. We have light mode, full screen pass. We might need the setup, and no, we do not. Do I get any errors? I have some PSX warnings. Core gameplay. Not interested. Okay. We have the vertex and the fragment. And zero IZ test calling. Those I do not need. And no changes. Include the URP library. I mean, I don't think it would actually mess that up. And then we have a struct with attributes and varings. Should I change the order? It looks like something that would not matter. But this, I have the vertex ID, and here I have position and UV. The attributes, bleed texture, okay, so it's actually not doing, it might not be doing the vertex correctly. This might be the thing that's not going okay. So let's just replace this, and of course we need to replace the attributes. And vert. Output position CS, which is a float 4, float 2 for UV. Okay. Oh my god, it actually fixed it. So the problem was the vertex not doing the correct calculations to get the vertex position. Hey, you gave me this wrong. What gives are you dumb? Three correct ways and five wrong ones depending on the phrase of the moon situation, but it doesn't work. What I gave you, generic full screen quad vertex. What you're showing, a full screen triangle. Both are valid. But your version did not work. What do you have to say in your defense? Oh, lines. Nice. This is interesting. This is a nice UI element. I think they just added it. What's going on? Your version full screen triangle modern URP way. Must define the struct. Yes, I already figured that out. No vertex buffers, no mesh, just it's a triangle. Why utilize this now? Because your vertices, no vertex buffer, better cache, slightly more efficient. Marginal gains. Marginal gains, are you sure? I don't know if I should trust you right now. My version assumes you're drawing a quad, Unity is fitting you proper geometry. Your version is the correct mortar approach. Why this confuses exists? Why this confusion exists? Bit with code, bit with helper function, full screen triangle, render graph doing black magic. Okay. You need nothing renders. Wait, what? While version can still break. Missing SV vertex ID. Nothing renders. Wrong includes. You need this. No, I don't. It worked the other way. Using wrong texture. So every AI is contradicting itself on this. You're right, full screen triangle is the modern correct way. I gave you a compatible but slightly outdated pattern. You spent energy correcting, which is like arguing about the plate shape, while the real problem is the fragment shader is going to eat 90% of the performance budget unless it doesn't work. Unity 6 and URP 17 full screen render pass feature does not supply a mesh, so this cannot possibly work. If it did not work, it's a structural mismatch. You're trying to transform geometry, it is incompatible. So the only correct vertex path. Are you just agreeing with me? And you must include. No, I must not include that. Did I include that? No, I did not include that. The deeper concepts if you're writing a custom, okay. But you gave me the wrong version. Another AI gave me the correct version. What else? I do not need to include that other stuff. Bleed hlsl. And another AI told you something that happened to work in your exact setup. So right now the problem is my setup. The annoying true, you're both technically right. What do you mean you're both? Okay, so this AI will never assume responsibility for the things that it does. Huh? You will never admit responsibility, will you? And what other BS did it tell us? Your version works without that. Unity is quietly doing things and not telling you. So basically it's telling us that it includes it automatically. Dangerous part. Bigger lesson. Reality check. I don't care in anything. I gave you the wrong version for your specific setup, not technically right, not context dependent, just wrong for this. I specifically asked you for help for Unity 6.2 and URP 70. Therefore, you gave me the wrong answer for what I asked. So yeah, it was never going to work, that's on me. You're acting like the other AI handed you some sacred truth when all it did was give you the version that happens to match your Unity flavor. Your correct version subtly needs different includes. If I'm switching stuff, for your case, the correct mental model is full screen rendered feature, procedural triangle, no mesh, no object space, must be SV vertex ID. That's the real takeaway, not which AI won. Yes, correct. I asked for that specific take. And it gave me something wrong. Now that you're satisfied with the drama, Let's anchor the correct version and just relax. Okay, so we figure out what was going on, and more than this, I think we can actually go back to the material. Yeah, I think it doesn't translate well for black. Oh no, it does translate well for black. Yeah, with my, I need to check what. It feels somewhat weird. Let's see how it is in game. It is like it's doing something, you know? Yeah, it's processing stuff really weird. And I think that maybe next time we can actually figure out how to process this, because right now it's also behind the UI. Okay, so we have, okay, let's see one more thing. Oh no, it's behind the UI. Can we bring this in front? You made the post-processing effect. Of course, it's behind the UI. No, you cannot do this from the render feature alone. Why is behind the UI? Because the order in which it's rendering, so full screen pass is happening before the UI gets drawn. UI just comes in later and casually sits on top of the effect. Yeah, so basically this is the effect of the rendering order. You cannot just move it above UI. Render UI is rendered by a different system entirely. Canvas and not SR passes. But the effect on the UI itself. Wasn't this the worst version that we had? Create a full screen UI and do a render texture, right? Camera 1 world processing. Camera 2 UI. Apply effect on second camera 2. Render UI to texture. Screen space, camera canvas. What people expect full screen effect lasting rendered, but the reality is that lasting inside the render pipeline. So if the red vignette affects gameplay, then it should go in post-processing. But if it affects player perception, then it should go in the UI layer. Put the red image on a canvas like every shipped game quietly does and move on with your life. So we spent 4 months for learning that we should have done just a stupid trick. Or I could just get really stubborn and do this and render the post-processing on top of the UI. And now the question is, did it actually give us this solution, or did I just combine it from multiple options? Because, okay, put the effect on the UI itself with the full screen UI image. Okay, so I did not do that. Simple, predictable. Okay, separate camera for UI. Apply effect on second camera too, or composite differently. So basically another camera. Render UI into the effect, harder than it sounds. Render UI to a texture, feed it to your shader. Screen space camera canvas trick. If your canvas is screen space camera and uses the same camera, you can sometimes control ordering via camera stacking render order tricks. But it's fragile and inconsistent. So basically the solution that we managed to pull is fragile and inconsistent. What did we learn? Well, it's kind of inconclusive. And I don't know what we learned. AI is difficult. Do not fight with it. You're not gonna get anywhere. Anyway, I will see you next week.